Tonight, out of danger. 4 men trapped more than a week inside a flooded cave in Laos are finally free. New details on their ordeal and the unexpected ending that surprised rescuers. Also tonight, mid-air security scares.
We might have to close the airfield due to potential hijack.
You never expect yourself to be in a situation like that.
I'm Allie Bauman at Newark Liberty International Airport. An unruly passenger forces a United jetliner to make an emergency landing just days after another incident on an international flight.
New reporting tonight about what happened on board. Escalating tensions, police tear gas protesters outside of a New Jersey immigration detention center. Gas prices are down, but presidential tensions are up.
I'm Olivia Gazis at the White House, where the president is still silent about a deal to end the war with Iran, but speaking his mind about new setbacks on the home front.
Eye on crime. It's dominating political debate in a hotly contested race.
I'm Adam Yamaguchi in Los Angeles. The city is safer than it's been in generations. So why do some voters have a starkly different view?
Hear that? Mysterious sonic boom rattles New England. All that, plus artful approach. She's 77 and a museum curator speaking Gen Z's language to get their attention, and it's going viral.
Haters will say this urn is mid, but they don't know we've clocked its tea.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Saturday. Tonight, relief, joy, and exhaustion for a group of men trapped for over a week in a flooded cave, fighting hunger, cold, and uncertainty along the way. The ordeal in Laos is one that the world has without a doubt been watching. CBS's Ramy Inocencio is following the latest developments tonight at our London bureau. Ramy, some good news.
Good evening, Jerika. And in the end, rescue divers didn't bring them out. Those men were able to scramble out by themselves because the water level had fallen low enough after days of pumping out those floodwaters. One of the divers was in fact putting on his wetsuit, and he said that he was shocked when they started walking out into the light. Freedom after 10 dark days trapped in a tiny flooded cave in Laos. 3 muddied men breathing fresh air for the first time, the 4th finding the strength for a small smile. And in the emotional flood of it all, overwhelming terror and grief broke into joy and relief. Less than a day before, divers had brought the first man out, men who had gone looking for gold but were sealed in from heavy rains that kicked off deadly landslides. Rescue divers navigated cloudy, coffee-colored waters through tunnels the length of nearly 3 football fields, only about 1.5 feet at their narrowest points. They found them last Wednesday, after 8 days, weak, hungry, crouched on rocks, but alive. One of the men said he would not have lasted through this weekend. Today, they found that light at the end of their tunnel. And there were 2 more men in their group for a total of 7. The head of the Thai rescue group said that they plan to go deeper inside the cave, about 80 feet deeper. But Jerika, he said that section is still heavily flooded.
All right, Ramy Inocencio, thank you. Tonight, we are learning more about what happened inside a United Airlines flight forced to make an emergency landing in Wisconsin. It is the second mid-air security scare this week. CBS's Allie Bauman at Newark International has more on just how frightening this situation was.
Good evening, Jerika. The FBI is investigating last night's incident. It's one of more than 600 unruly passenger reports so far this year, and we are just at the start of the summer travel season.
We might have to close the airfield due to potential hijack.
A stark warning from air traffic controllers at Dane County Regional Airport in Wisconsin. This after an unruly passenger forced a United flight from Chicago to Minneapolis to divert. Law enforcement officers traveling on the plane restrained the 75-year-old man mid-air.
They were able to finally get control of him after multiple attempts to try to breach the cockpit.
No injuries were reported. Mark Rundle was one of the 147 passengers on board.
You never expect yourself to be in a situation like that, right? It's a little bit scary just because of all of the unknowns. but ended up being okay.
This comes just 2 days after another disruptive passenger forced an American Airlines flight from Athens to New York to divert to Rome. These types of incidents have slowly declined since spiking in 2021, but the number of unruly passenger reports is still above pre-pandemic levels. There were 141 incidents last month.
Airlines need to get a no-fly list, and they need to adhere to that to make sure that people that are causing problems on prior flights are not allowed to continue to fly on other flights.
Local law enforcement says that 75-year-old man appeared confused and in a mental health crisis. Police are not filing criminal charges at this time. As for the other passengers on that flight, Jerika, they finally made it to their destination after a 4-hour detour.
Allie Bauman in Newark, New Jersey, thank you. People across the Middle East, including thousands of U.S. troops deployed to the region, are waiting for a decision tonight from President Trump about a proposal to end the war in Iran. We didn't hear from the president on that issue, but we did see him today golfing at his Virginia club. CBS's Olivia Gazes reports tonight from the White House. Olivia, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. The president's golf outing today comes as questions mount over whether a deal with Iran is getting closer or farther away.
Silence so far from the White House more than 24 hours after President Trump said he would make a final determination on Iran, with no deal and no decision yet in sight. He spoke to daughter-in-law Laura Trump earlier this week.
Is there a line that they would cross for you to go on the offensive again militarily?
Well, a deal that wasn't going to be good for us is the line, ultimately, because, I'm playing it out and we're going to see, and that's what I do. I negotiate. They negotiate. They're very good negotiators. They're crafty.
In Singapore, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said there would be progress or a return to military strikes, as reports emerged of more Americans injured by an Iranian missile attack in Kuwait.
Right now, we're focused on being postured and prepared to re-engage if we have to. I mean, this is a high-stakes negotiation. We've got the best negotiator in the world leading it.
Days of optimistic messaging over a possible deal have pleased Wall Street, pushing gas prices down nearly 20 cents this week, even as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed.
Iran is certainly suffering economically, but the United States, along with the global economy more broadly, are suffering from incredibly high commodity prices, not to mention the fact that the United States is spending billions of dollars to maintain its readiness to resume military operations against Iran.
And the president has not been silent today on other issues. On social media, he accused a judge who ruled that the Trump name be removed from the Kennedy Center of bias. The president also said he wants to hold a political rally instead of a concert during the country's 250th anniversary celebration. That's after most musical artists canceled. Jerika.
And Olivia, I understand there's an update tonight about the president's latest physical.
That's right. The president's physician said that he was in excellent health with a cardiac age 14 years younger than his chronological age, though he had gained 14 pounds since his last physical. Jerika, the president celebrates his 80th birthday on June 14th.
All right, Olivia, thank you. The U.S. military says it has killed 3 men in a strike against a boat suspected of transporting narcotics. It happened in the Eastern Pacific. Around 200 people have been killed in the boat strike attacks since last year. Tonight, New Jersey's governor is warning agitators to stay out of her state as protests outside a New Jersey immigration detention center escalate. Last night, police used tear gas to disperse crowds gathered to protest conditions at the facility.
To the people coming from out of state to create chaos and dangerous situations, you should not be here.
This is the 8th day of demonstrations over conditions at the Ice Run facility. To California now, voters across the state head to the polls next week to choose new leaders. In Los Angeles, the race for mayor is hotly contested. So is the issue of crime. CBS's Adam Yamaguchi is there with new reporting tonight. Adam.
Jerika, there's been a double-digit decrease in the nation's homicide rate, including here in Los Angeles. But in this mayor's race, some candidates and many voters say crime remains one of their top issues.
Public safety is a major importance, especially in this election.
Do you feel safe in LA?
No.
Crime on every level.
It's a common feeling. A new poll finds 67% of likely LA voters say crime and public safety are very important issues to them.
Public safety should be our #1.
It's what dominated this month's mayoral debate.
I talk to thousands of moms a week. They do not feel safe in the street, no matter what these crime statistics are telling anybody.
We need to actually get people off the streets for people to be safe.
I can tell you that streets that we have cleared, crime is down.
The renewed focus on safety comes as new data finds violent crime and homicides in the city are near historic lows. It's a similar story nationwide. Crime down in almost every category. Adam Gelb is with the Council on Criminal Justice.
We are seeing historic declines in homicide, major reductions in violent crime overall.
But he says Americans don't seem to feel it yet.
If people are feeling unsafe, they feel like their government is letting them down.
He says it's all about perception.
Even if people are not very afraid that somebody who is using drugs and living on the street is going to attack them, the point is they don't want to be attacked at all. They want the chances of that to be zero.
Now, it is important to note that homelessness is not factored into those decreasing crime rates, but it does factor into how people feel and possibly how they vote. Jerika?
Adam Yamaguchi in Los Angeles tonight. Thank you. To New England now, and a mysterious big boom. Today, security cameras captured the sound that rattled nerves and windows near Boston and even into Rhode Island. This satellite image caught it. Scientists say it's a suspected bolide. That's a bright meteor that explodes in the Earth's atmosphere. Luckily, no injuries to report. Now to the weather and another surprise for New England. Take a look at this. Those are snow flurries. Yes, snow flurries at the end of May in Winchendon, Massachusetts. That's on the northern border with New Hampshire. So the big question, what is ahead for us for the rest of the weekend? Let's check in with CBS News meteorologist Andrew Kozak with the answer. Andrew.
Yeah, good evening, Jerika. Summer truly may be just around the corner, but yes, we have some snow to deal with on the northern and western part of the state of Massachusetts. We showed you some of those flakes there, also near Vermont. Meantime, the rest of the state dealing with showers and even thunderstorms today will start to slowly dry out as we get into the early part of Sunday. Meantime, tonight I'm focused on the Midwest, places like Wichita, Kansas, Wilson County, looking at 70-mile-per-hour winds, the potential for an isolated tornado. The threat for this moves a little bit further to the east. So places like St. Louis and Kansas City may see some strong to severe storms on your Sunday. On Sunday, we're looking at some rain, well-needed rain in the southeast. In the southwest, it's hot with fire danger finally losing its grip for now. And speaking of the west, the Pacific, the eastern Pacific, a cluster of thunderstorms here, has a good chance of developing into our first named storm with Jerika. Believe it or not, the average date for the first named storm in the eastern Pacific is June 10th.
For a second, I thought you were saying I was the name of that storm. Thank you so much, Andrew. Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, why a cruise ship went out of its way to save someone, plus a sneak peek of how astronauts may one day get around on the moon. Stay with us. Tonight, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin team is outlining plans to start clearing and rebuilding its Florida launch pad. It was severely damaged when the company's New Glenn rocket exploded during a test at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The cause of the explosion is under investigation. While the blast is a setback for NASA's plan to return to the moon, the agency did take a giant leap forward this week, ordering rovers for its planned lunar base. Here's CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
This is really a rock and rollin' ride, isn't it?
It was 1971 when America's love affair with the car went lunar. The Apollo lunar rover turned American moonwalkers into moon drivers, allowing astronauts to explore more than 50 miles of lunar crust and craters.
I'm glad they got this great suspension system on this thing.
The Apollo lunar rover was a phenomenal machine, but fundamentally it had a very different job to do than the one we're doing. You just point the joystick whichever way you want to go, super intuitive.
Jarrett Matthews is the founder of Astrolab. On a back street in Hawthorne, California, he took us for a spin in a Zamboni-looking prototype of his company's 21st century lunar rover called Flex. The final design for NASA will look like this, a four-wheel drive electric vehicle that can rove on its own or carry 2 astronauts and supplies. It will operate for a year, traversing hundreds of miles across the lunar terrain.
The lunar terrain vehicles have to be a mashup of the Apollo lunar rover to carry 2 suited astronauts, as well as something more modern like the Perseverance rover on Mars, and can be operated, remotely from Earth.
It kind of got to be a Swiss Army knife of vehicles.
Absolutely, yeah.
Astrolab is one of 2 companies NASA picked to build the first moon buggies for the moon base it plans to spend the next 7 years developing near the South Pole. NASA also tapped Colorado-based Lunar Outpost to build a moon buggy called Pegasus. A Blue Origin lunar lander will deliver each rover to the lunar surface. NASA is paying Astrolab and Lunar Outpost about $220 million each. Lunar Outpost CEO Justin Cyrus told us he sees an opportunity on the moon beyond NASA.
NASA wants to be one of many customers. NASA doesn't want to be the only customer. And the only way you can do that is creating a vehicle that is truly capable enough to allow for new activities on the lunar surface.
You want to drive yourself?
I'd love to. Yeah. Steering with a joystick designed for the limited movement allowed by a spacesuit. Well, now we're really going.
Now we're cooking, huh?
Cooking up a slow and steady ride to the moon and beyond. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Hawthorne, California.
No license needed for that part. Well, still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, the runaway emu on the loose today. We'll tell you where. All right, something unusual hit the road in Maryland today. An emu was on the loose near Salisbury, Maryland. That's about 30 miles west of Ocean City. He's just strolling along. It went for a run on local streets, even getting swiped by a car. After an hours-long chase, troopers finally caught the emu with a dog leash and returned it to its owners. A stranded sailor is safe tonight after a cruise ship went out of its way to rescue him. The ship heading to Vancouver, BC from Tahiti diverted 120 miles to pick up the sailor stranded hundreds of miles off the coast of Oregon. Officials helped track his location after the sailor's engine failed in high winds and waves. Frankie Valli is saying bye-bye baby to his concert dates. The Four Seasons frontman, who's now 92 years old, says he needs to take a break from the road to get his health in order. The group's so-called Last Encores tour was expected to make U.S. stops through the year. Next on the CBS Weekend News, the museum curator who's going viral teaching the TikTok generation about ancient art. But first, a look back at this day in history.
Mission, fly 248 million miles through space to Mars.
Favorite story of the day. We end at the National Gallery of Art, where a 77-year-old museum curator is using modern slang to bridge a generational divide. In tonight's Weekend Journal, our Nancy Cordes reports it's working.
Girly pop is the moment.
Allison Lux didn't set out to be a social media darling.
Haters will say this urn is mid, but they don't know we've clocked its tea.
But her slang-filled videos about art history have taken the internet by storm, drawing millions of views.
That eye contact, high-key heated rivalry coded.
And thousands of comments that say she slays.
What does it feel like to be going viral at 77?
I'm stunned.
Lux is a curator at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C.
The dog is so affectionate.
She specializes in early European sculpture.
What do you think people like about the videos?
I think, for starters, the unexpected quality, the surprise, because obviously I don't look like a person who would speak Gen Z. And there I am doing it, and I work on doing it with a straight face, because if you try to be cute, it's dead.
Allison is kind of a legend here.
The videos were the brainchild of Sydney Myers, who runs social media at the museum and had seen the Beamish Museum in the UK post something similar.
This tram slaps.
She teamed up with some Gen Z staffers to craft a script. Allison understood the assignment.
Snatched girly over here is freshly acidified. What?
Yassified.
The worst risk is that I would look silly, and that didn't bother me. I didn't think it would hurt the gallery, and it might help.
She's really a natural.
She is a natural. She's not cosplaying Gen Z. She truly is being herself. And as she is saying these really funny words, direct to camera, you can see the love that she has and affection for the objects that she's talking about.
Allison has now made 7 videos aimed at introducing art to the younger set.
Peep my bestie.
The response has been so lit, even the bros at the museum are now leaving no crumbs.
Aura is low-key sinister.
Nancy Cordes, CBS News, Washington.
She ate. Well, that is the CBS Weekend News for this Saturday. I'm Jerika Duncan in New York. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.